Hello, everyone. Nope. No. No. Okay. I always should hit the play button before I start the video. That way it doesn't do that. But I always forget because I'm stupid. So this is, oh boy, this is a name, isn't it? I want to say Amir, but I know it's not right. Amr Ib Al. Wow. Yep. So I butchered his name. I'm just going to admit that. Normally I feel like I nailed it, which I never did. So his wicked father and better brother, the first. This is Dr. Omar again. This was a request from Yasin Muhammad again. On this video, I'm going to probably break it down into four be 16, 17 minutes, somewhere around there. I'm just kind of trying to do quick math, and 16, 32, 64, and this is 67. You get it. So anyways, before we get started, I did make my mushroom ketchup. I don't know if anyone watched the mushroom ketchup video that I put out. I put out 4 videos on Friday, and one of them was the mushroom ketchup video. And I made it over the weekend. And I had some officially last night with some chicken. And I took the dehydrated mushrooms and I sprinkled them over the top. Dehydrated, or not dehydrated, yeah, they pretty much became dehydrated. And then I blended them up so they're like, it looks like really weird pepper. And then I just sprinkle that over the top. It's really good. Now, when I say mushroom ketchup, it's not a ketchup like tomato ketchup. It's a sauce. It's like Worcestershire sauce. And it's just made from mushroom instead of fish. And you take it, for anyone who, I'm talking about it now, so, fast forward. I'll do this when the video, well, you'll see the video starts. I don't have to do that. Stupid. So, I made 6 pounds, cut up 6 pounds of I made the mushrooms by hand. Cut up 6 pounds of mushrooms, put salt on them, let them sit for a couple days, kept mashing them up with like a potato masher, really kind of squeezing out the juice. And then the last day I put bay leaves and thyme, parsley, I put a thing called soul food in there. Garlic powder, onion powder, just a bunch of stuff, and then apple cider vinegar. I put a little too much vinegar because I started to boil it. I put too much vinegar, and vinegar has a very distinct smell. So I cut it with some chicken broth and got it to what I wanted and let it sit for 2 hours to cool. Refrigerated overnight. Next morning, pulled it out and then just strained with a colander all the mushrooms and just wrung out all the juice. Got a big 64-ounce bottle. And then it took me about 4.5 hours to cook out the mushrooms, to dry them, and then to blend them all up. So I'm very happy. I really like it. I'm going to do it again down the road. Maybe if I was nearby, I would get the stuff, but it's not. It's downstairs. So anyways, on to this video. Before we get started, there's a thanks button. You can donate to the channel. You can subscribe if this is what you like, and if you don't want to do any of that, just give me a thumbs up. Okay? On to the video. This will be 16, 17 minutes. We all agree. And video.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله السميع من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Welcome back to the first. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are continuing in the story of those that were on the other side of Uhud. And My intention tonight was actually to start talking about the seerah of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But I'm actually going to tell you from right now that tonight we're not going to talk about Amr ibn al-As. We're going to talk about his father, and we're going to talk about his brother. And I'll tell you exactly why. SubhanAllah, when I first started this series, one of my main intentions for the first was to find Sahaba that don't get the recognition that they deserve. People that are kind of buried in the stories of others. And Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu has a...
I like the concept of that. I want to shed light on people that don't get the attention or the due that they deserve because they're always overshadowed by other people. I really like that idea. I like that concept. And it's just being very respectful to those who, yeah, they get overshadowed. I think that's very good.
Brother named Hisham ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who is worthy of his own biography. So what we're going to be doing tonight, where are all my Hishams in here? Where are the Hishams? No Hishams here? No Hishams in Valley Ranch? I don't know what's going on. I was going to make you guys proud. All right. So what we're going to do, inshallah ta'ala, is we're going to talk about the making of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu by really understanding the family that he comes from. And subhanAllah, the title for tonight is A Wicked Father and a Better Brother. And better is in quotation marks, and it'll make sense at the end of our halaqah tonight. And then inshallah ta'ala, next week we'll dive into...
Maybe the wicked father part. You shed light on people who get overshadowed. Maybe the wicked father, I don't know anything about the story, but maybe shining a light on him shows you the person that he created because he apparently wasn't very good. I don't know. But maybe I gave the father a little too much respect. And the better brother, in quotations, I don't know. Maybe I should have. I like the concept of what he's saying. But now I'm questioning if these two deserve it. But apparently they do, because maybe it's going to show, it's going to make shine right here. Just read that and just pretend like I'm saying it. It's going to make him shine a lot brighter.
Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But tonight we talk about his father, who is one of the most wicked people in the history of Islam. And when you say one of the most hated people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not exaggerating. He is associated with so many of the ayat of the Quran that we read in Juz' Amma, that we read throughout the Quran, over 10 instances of tafsir in which he is the one that's being indicated according to the scholars, in terms of an enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The father of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And his brother Hisham radiallahu ta'ala anhu, an incredible sahabi, an incredible companion who embraced Islam before his brother, but did not get the same recognition in the books of history. And we'll talk about that tonight, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, and what that did in terms of shaping the life of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu going forward. So let's start at the top. Now, Amr and Hisham are the only two brothers. They don't have any brothers that are noted in their biographies, but they have different mothers. Okay, so Amr ibn al-As ibn Wa'il, Hisham ibn al-As ibn Wa'il. All right, they're half brothers, and tonight we're going to focus on Hisham. Now, Amr ibn al-As ibn Wa'il, their father obviously is al-As, who we're going to talk about. Amr ibn al-As's mother was a slave girl by the name of Layla bint Harmala. Layla bint Harmala. And there's a story behind that we'll talk about next week, inshallah ta'ala. So his half-brother...
Was she the slave of the father, and he hooked up with her and had a child?
Is his younger brother, and his mother is a woman by the name of Harmala bint Hisham ibn al-Mughira. Harmala bint Hisham ibn al-Mughira. Who is his mother? Harmala is the sister of Abu Jahl. Okay? The sister of Abu Jahl. Now, if you remember, who remembers Abu Jahl's name? His actual name? Amr ibn Hisham, okay, ibn al-Mughira. All right, Amr ibn Hisham ibn al-Mughira. So his sister is the wife of Al-As and the mother of Hisham. So obviously Abu Jahl is the chief of Banu Makhzum, and he's also, by the way, of course, Hisham ibn al-Mughira is the brother of Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, the father of Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu, right? So this would mean that Hisham ibn al-As is the first cousin of Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Okay, the first cousin of Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu, which makes this, truly a family affair. When you start to talk about the dynamics, truly Khalid and Amr ibn al-As are so inseparable in their stories, both before they embraced Islam and then after they embraced Islam. There is a lifelong connection between those two brothers, may Allah be pleased with them. And in the situation,
I'm just going to say there's a lifelong connection also because the two brothers experienced a wicked father. I'm just going out on a limb and saying that when both of you share a bad childhood, when you have two different, mothers, I feel like it would be vastly different then because not many people today are, my mom was a slave. Yeah. You'd be like, what was that? Back then, a little different. So I would say that having the same father, it wasn't like, the same mother, two different fathers. Yeah, fathers might treat them a little differently. Same father. If he's just a tough person, very, very hard to be around, then he was probably fair in how bad he treated both of them. I don't think he would have favored one over the other. And if both of them were super tight together and, inseparable, then divide and conquer wouldn't have worked. So he would have just taken the wrath out on both of them. And when you go through something like that, I'm sure that bonds you extremely tight, which is a good thing.
Of Hisham, he's actually a relative. He's actually the cousin of Khalid radiallahu anhu through his mother. So this gives him a power through Banu Makhzum, right? You're situated in one of the most powerful tribes in Mecca, being Banu Makhzum, a competitive tribe to Banu Hashim, the tribe of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now let's talk about the father, and I'm going to go through how many ayat you've been reading, and inshallah ta'ala it'll now give you a face to think about when you read these ayat. The father is Al-As ibn Wa'il. Al-As is the chief of Banu Sahm, which is also a powerful tribe of Quraysh. He's a distant relative of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning they meet at one of the ancestors. So he's a distant relative of the Prophet ﷺ in Quraysh. But this man will go on to become one of the staunchest opponents of the Prophet ﷺ. And when the Prophet ﷺ says, النَّاسُ مَعَادٍ خِيَارُكُمْ فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ خِيَارُكُمْ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ, that people are like precious stones, the best of you in the days of ignorance are the best of you in Islam. Likewise, some of those who exhibited lowly characteristics carried those lowly characteristics in opposition to Islam and only became furthered in their tughyan, furthered in their transgression with those qualities. And so let's talk about Al-As even before Islam. Al-As even before Islam.
It sounds like this, and I apologize. It sounds like the father, he was apparently probably worshipped idols or whatever. And change, which back then, if you worshipped idols and you had all these statues and you got one person coming around that is a prophet or people are looking to as a prophet, and he is trying to change all of the norms and the customs that you are used to, yeah, there's going to be someone who's going to fight back. Well, I mean, not just someone, but there's going to be people who are going to push back on that and just completely refuse to accept it. And I'm seeing him as being that person who is certainly unwilling to change. And if he's unwilling to change, then that means everyone else around him has to stick to what he believes or what he wants to follow. You can't deviate from that. He makes the rules. I'm going to make a video one time, but it's going to be about everything that's going on now since my father passed. And I'm going to have to hide that in one of these videos, because I know certain family members. I have some family members who watch the videos, not all, but I'm going to have to hide it in a video like this, where I would play it for a couple minutes and then just stop the video and just start talking. And I can relate, because I have a sister who I thought I made in a previous video was my best friend, who has decided since my father passed that she wants to screw me over, and it's getting ugly. So much so that I've severed ties with her. This is not related to the video, but it's something that I can clearly understand. But I'll make a separate video to that, but I'm going to have to hide that because I don't want some of my family to see it. That's just going to kind of be me venting, but I don't want that to be something that gets, not used, but, you know how it goes. Family is the one that you almost can't trust after a while. They're the first ones that'll try to screw you over. Sorry.
He is the catalyst for a very momentous episode in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ before Islam. Remember Hilf al-Fudul, the League of Justice, the Pact of Justice that was taken in Mecca, where the tribes came together in Mecca and they said that we will protect the weak one amongst us, the one who doesn't have a tribe amongst us, that we're not going to let him be wronged economically just because he has no one to protect him. So Al-As is the one who made that happen, but by being the transgressor. Okay, so I take you back to before Islam. There was a man from Yemen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the people of Yemen. Everyone say Ameen. A man from Yemen, from the tribe of Az-Zubayd. So he was a Zubaydi man from Yemen. He came to Mecca to trade. Now, this was in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, right before Dhul Hijjah, one of the sacred months. And he had some goods with him, and he's around the Kaaba, doesn't have anyone to protect him. He sells some of his goods to Al-As ibn Wa'il. The worst rich person is the one who's predatory and doesn't have to take advantage of the poor, right? Like you have no reason to steal, you have no reason to poke people, to take advantage of people. Al-As is one of the wealthiest men in Mecca, but he's a slime ball, And I can call him that because Allah Azza wa Jal refers to him in so many different ways in the Quran. Complete slime ball, right? So Al-As ibn Wa'il says, all right, give me the goods, I'll pay you. He takes the goods. The man says, all right, where's the money? He said, what money? What are you talking about? And the man says, you just bought these goods from me. He said, go find somewhere else and go claim your money somewhere else. Basically, get lost. What are you going to do about it? Right? I'm Al-As ibn Wa'il, I'm the chief of Banu Sahm. You're in Mecca, coming from Yemen. You think you have some power here? Get out of here, right? Get lost. So this was actually common in Mecca before Hilf al-Fudul. This type of behavior of exploitation, exploiting the slave, exploiting al-mustad'afin, exploiting the weak and the oppressed ones, this is very, very normal behavior in Mecca. Now, obviously, the man starts telling people, like, do you guys see what just happened here? Aren't you going to do something? And those that are around Al-As, they immediately take his side. Like, he's Al-As ibn Wa'il. What do you want us to do? Right? He's the chief of Banu Sahm. Then at that point, the man stands up in front of the Kaaba and basically embarrasses Mecca. Right? He starts to author these beautiful words of poetry about the people of Mecca, and he strikes at their ego, their culture. Right? What type of a people are you? Custodians of the Kaaba, right? And this is how you treat the weak amongst you. This is how you treat the one who has no tribe. And he starts to shout out and author these words of poetry. And now it's embarrassing. So these people don't do anything out of righteousness. It's embarrassing, right? So the other tribesmen from Banu Makhzum, Banu Abdiddar, others, they simply sided with Al-As. But one of the uncles of the Prophet ﷺ, whose name was Az-Zubayr ibn al-Muttalib, not Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awam radiallahu anhu, an uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, Az-Zubayr ibn al-Muttalib. He stood up and he was outraged. He said, isn't someone going to help this man? Like, is this how we're really going to treat the people when they come to Mecca, the migrants when they come to Mecca, the tourists, the tradespeople? What type of reputation do we want?
I was going to say, no one's going to want to go there. They have no reason to go there because there's no reason to trust you. Now, same token, if that's your reputation and somebody who doesn't do that is from Mecca and they go to Yemen or whatever, they're going to get screwed over. And they're going to get screwed over and treated badly because someone in Yemen that happened to. Neither of you may be a part of it, but it's just become a thing. So it's you gotta you can't allow that, because now if you're from Mecca and you go somewhere else, you instantly have taken on that reputation. Oh yeah, no, he's from Mecca. Yeah, they're slime balls. Look what they do. You can't trust that guy. Don't. And so if you moved or you went over there to do business, people wouldn't want to do business with you. Or they would do the same thing that happened to someone there and bet that you had no part of. So yeah, you cannot do that. That's a reputation. I can say that. As an American, I'm probably not welcome a lot of places around the world. But I didn't myself. I had nothing to do with that. But it's the burden. It is what it is.
What type of people do we want? An argument breaks out, and Abdullah ibn Jud'an summons the people. And the long story short, because Hilf al-Fudul is something we've covered in multiple lectures and in great detail in any seerah. Long story short, the people of Mecca agree to this pact. And the Prophet ﷺ was the youngest person to be a part of that pact, to protect the one who is exploited, to protect the one who does not have a tribe, to protect him from economic exploitation. And an As signed on to it too, whatever. Right? He's a chief of Banu Sahm. The powerful, the elites of Mecca can always find a loophole. But at least this was a notable move, a notable moment in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. And this behavior from Al-As will show itself in Islam in a very nasty way as well. So he's a rich man, multiple slaves, multiple homes, all types of money, but he still pokes at the little man in Mecca and messes with the little man. So when you think of Al-As ibn Wa'il, put him in the league of Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Al-Walid ibn Mughira, Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, and then Al-As ibn Wa'il. Put him in that league. The father of Khalid radiallahu anhu's father, who of course multiple ayat came down about him, his arrogance with the Prophet ﷺ, the way he rejected Islam. This man falls in that category, and he has a unique way of oppression. His oppression is istihza, mockery. So here's the thing, subhanallah, Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu will largely become successful in Islam because he was so smart, his wits, his intelligence. They called him the most clever general in Islam. Like Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a man who could map out the battlefield and win every battle. Amr was a man who could use his brain and he can outwit, he was so clever. And he used that for the sake of Allah after being an enemy to the Prophet ﷺ himself for some time. In the case of his father was also a brilliant man, very witty, smart aleck, but he uses it to mock the Prophet ﷺ. So his oppression has the physical oppression to the Prophet ﷺ, shutting the avenues of da'wah, but also pure istihza of the Prophet ﷺ, pure mockery with the Prophet ﷺ. So let's start to go through all of the ayat that you read throughout the Quran in which the scholars say he is the one who is implicated. First and foremost, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْهِ مَلَكٌ. They said, why doesn't an angel just come down? So Al-As was the one who said to the Prophet ﷺ, you know what? We'll believe you if you get an angel that comes and stands next to you, بِسُورَةِ مَلَكٍ, in the form of an angel, and then talks to us. But you, we don't believe you. But bring an angel next to you, maybe we will listen to that angel.
Maybe we'll listen to that angel. If an angel came down, they would probably say it's some kind of magic. And why doesn't that angel bring another angel? It wouldn't end.
أنزلنا ملكا لقضي الأمر ثم لا ينظرون. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says, and if an angel would have came down, then it would have been over, and you would not have been granted any type of respite to repent. And of course, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, again, using the istihza, وَلَقَدْ اسْتُهْزِئَ بِرُسُلٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ فَحَاقَ بِالَّذِينَ سَخِرُوا مِنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. Look, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, prophets that came before you were mocked in this way. And Allah Azza wa Jalla did with them what He did. Take comfort in this when you see the Zionists doing with our brothers and sisters in Palestine what they're doing. وَلَقَدْ اسْتُهْزِئَ بِرُسُلٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ. Look, people came before you, righteous people that were mocked in their lowest points. It hurts the Prophet ﷺ because everyone treated the Prophet ﷺ well before Islam. And, Al-As can always bring a particular type of mockery to the discussion that puts the Prophet ﷺ in a very awkward situation. So, he's one of those people, and he's the main one that always invents these claims with the Prophet ﷺ. And the spirit of his questioning of Rasulullah ﷺ was not a su'al. He wasn't genuinely inquiring about anything. So when he brings these challenges to the Prophet ﷺ, it's purely to mock the Prophet ﷺ. The next surah that many of the scholars say was revealed about him, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. Surah Al-Kafirun. You worship our God one day, we worship your God one day. Now different people made this suggestion to the Prophet ﷺ. You can actually find multiple elites of Quraysh that made this suggestion to the Prophet ﷺ. Because to them it's like, look, if your God is just another idol, khalas, we'll make space. We got 360 of them anyway, just make it 361. I mean, like, if that's really what this is all about, you worship your God, we worship our God, that's it. But listen to the way that Al-As puts it to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Ya Muhammad, halumma falna'bud ma ta'bud wal ta'bud ma na'bud. Oh Muhammad, come on and worship what we worship, and we'll worship what you worship. If the good comes from your God, then we'll get it. And if the good comes from our gods, then we'll get it. But if we worship all of them, then we won't miss any of the hadh. We won't miss any of the fortune. Like, the good's going to come from one of them, right? You see the way he mocks the Prophet ﷺ? So, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, many of the ulama said, was about Al-As. Like, this was the lowest of the mockery, istihza. Like, this is how seriously he takes God. This is what God is to him, a wish list. Just go ahead, fine. Muhammad ﷺ, come with me. Let's all worship gods together. One of them is going to answer our dua. One of them is going to make something happen. Another time, Surah Al-Isra keeps on going, subhanallah. وَقَالُوا لَن نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى تَفْجُرَ لَنَا مِنَ الْأَرْضِ يَنْبُوعًا. Surah Al-Isra, verse 90. The Prophet ﷺ was doing da'wah to the people of Mecca. Al-As says to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Muhammad, if you want us to believe you, you know what we want. إِنَّكَ تَعْلَمُ مَا نُرِيدُ. You know what we want? Tell your Lord to push the mountains of Mecca apart, and then to start letting the springs come up and some of the gardens come up. Let's see some gardens pop up here. You're talking about Jannah over there, and you're talking about Al-Anhar in Jannah. You're talking about these rivers in Jannah and these springs in Jannah. Just make it happen here, and we'll believe you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this mockery over here, verse 90 of Surah Al-Isra, which is also Surah Bani Israel, right? So it kind of resembles. You realize the people of Musa Islam mocked in this way too, right? He resembles Bani Israel in their worst form when he says these types of things to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The next ayat, they were recited today in Salatul Isha. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا. Said, oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why don't you tell us when the hour is, and then we'll fix ourselves right before the sa'ah. Just go ahead and give us a timeline. We want to know the day of judgment. You keep talking about as-sa'a, 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 the hour, the hour, the hour. Go ahead and give it to us. Many of Ahl al-Ilm, the scholars say, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا is talking about Al-As bin Wa'il. It goes on and on. Surah Yasin, verse 77 and verse 78. Al-As brings a bone of an animal. He throws it at the Prophet sallallahu.
I'm going to go back to the beginning of this. I'm going to go back here. We're going to end it there. We'll be back for part 2. You know what? I'm going to take some time right now to end the video. Just kind of describe a little bit about what's going on. So I have 2 sisters. I'm the youngest. Oldest sister middle sister, who's been on the channel. After my dad died, all the bills, supposedly all his credit card bills and everything, was going to go to court for probate, it's called. And they were concerned they were going to need a lawyer. We have 2 life insurance policies, or 3 life insurance policies. 2 of them went to me. 1 went to the sister whose name shall not be mentioned. And the total life insurance policies, could have paid for any potential bills, and then the house could have been claimed, and it would be me. So we kind of had this idea that we would do all that, and then we would split the remaining life insurance money 3 ways. Great. Well, then we were texting, the 3 of us, and it got brought up that we were going to get a lawyer. And so I started questioning, well, why? Because a lawyer, probate court is going to cost. The lawyer is going to cost. In Illinois, it could cost up to $12,500. And I'm saying, I don't know a lawyer. Well, I mean, everyone's heard lawyers are scumbag jokes. And I don't know a single lawyer that would turn down that money. If it's legit, why would he turn that down? And I'm thinking, that's just extra money that we may not need. Why don't we go to court? We'll take all the bills. We put down the life insurance policies as collateral and say everyone will get paid. Done. Right? Everyone's happy. So I was told no. So I started asking questions. Well, why? And I was told because their side's going to have lawyers, so I want a lawyer. And I'm like, okay, we can go to court, put that down, and then say to the judge, do you think we need a lawyer moving forward? And I was told, looking it up, that my dad's home and everything like that is not above the threshold that would meet you really needing to get a lawyer for like an estate type of deal. So why go into it with the lawyer? That's just money we don't have that we would be wasting. I said, let's go in and ask a judge, because none of us are on trial. None of us have broken the law. So let's just simply ask the judge. And if the judge says, yeah, you might want to do it because it can help speed things up and get things done, cool, I'm on board. Let's do it. Well, my one sister, who shall not be named, decided that she took my questions as an argument. And it wasn't. It was just simply me saying something, her giving me an answer, me countering it with another question. It's a discussion. There are 3 of us. All 3 of us have a say in this. The older sister said something, and then she tapped out. She was going back to work. And we're in a text. The middle one, my sister, who shall not be named, she decided that what I was saying was an argument. And so we're not having this discussion anymore. And I thought, well, you don't have the right to say that. This isn't a you get to make the call on what we talk about and what we don't talk about. This is all of us. This isn't one person dictates the rules. She then followed that up with what I deemed unforgivable. But I didn't deem it like that at the time. It just grew on me. She said it was non-negotiable. We're getting the lawyer. It's non-negotiable. If I'm against that, then she will split the insurance money, which is odd because I have basically 66% of that money. But I would be able to, technically my 2 insurance policies would have been able to pay for all the bills we knew of. And her insurance policy, still good money. So at the time, she said it was non-negotiable, and if I didn't agree, she would divide the insurance money up, which again, I don't know how she's going to take mine and divide it up, take assets from the house, basically items, and then forfeit the home. Now that's the threat. That's the veiled threat. Because if we forfeit the home, my older sister, she has a home. She's married. The sister in question, she's married. She has a home. But if we forfeit the home, I'm homeless. I want you to just think about that in terms of a discussion with your family. If they decide to just dismiss you and your questions and your concerns about why do we need to do this, kick it aside. Then make a threat. Tell me that you, in my shoes, would think, yeah, no, I'm cool with that. The threat, if you don't go along, you'll be homeless. So I walked away from it. I was angry. Walked away. About 2 weeks passes. I get a letter to my older sister and my dad, and they're telling my older sister, yeah, you can pay this bill, so you want to just pay it. And I send her a text, and she says no. Now, I should say this. The sister who shall be named, her husband, my brother-in-law, was also on board with, he doesn't know this, but he was also on board, apparently. I say he doesn't know this because I don't think he was involved in this, but he apparently was okay, with me being homeless, which I think, oh, okay, well, that's a dick move, but okay. So then, fast forward, I pass this bill along and I'm saying, hey, we could pay it back. Isn't that the goal? And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. The sister who shall not be named says that my brother-in-law says we may not have to pay all these bills. We're leaving it to the lawyer. And I'm like, what lawyer? Well, apparently they went ahead and started talking to a lawyer, but they didn't inform me. Now, my stance on it was I was on the fence. But then I'm really kind of leaning towards, well, if that's how it is, no. Well, they went ahead and started talking, getting to talk to one behind my back. I'm furious. Because it's like, wow, you just really disregarded everything I had to say, and you didn't even care. Didn't even care. Didn't bother to care at all. There's 3 of us, remind you. Okay. So I backed away. The next day, my older sister sends me a text, filling me in on everything. She goes, I'm sorry, I thought I told you. And I exploded at her. I even got the lawyer's number, called him up, and cussed out the secretary. I was pissed. I then started saying in this 3-way chat, which I thought I was in, I'm like, this is, what you guys did to me is disrespectful completely. I was fuming, and I was like, if this is how it's going to be, I want to be I paid for my father's funeral out of my insurance policy. Just so we're clear, I paid $10,800 for his funeral. Then I had to pay $250 out of my own bank for my dad's taxes to get done. So I am in the hole $11,000. And I was told no. Fuck you, you're not getting the money. Oh, then I'm told I have to buy them out of the house, my dad's Jeep, and all that stuff. And I'm like, you're not going to pay me back $3,800 a person, but you're expecting me to buy you out? Like, you're crazy. If you can't pay that, why the hell should I pay that? Plus, I'm not selling the house, so why would I buy you out of something that I'm not selling? How do you expect to get that money? It's not coming to you. You'd get the money if I sold the house, then it would have to be split 3 ways. That's completely different. But I'm not obligated to pay you for anything because there's no sale. One hasn't lived here in 27 years, the other hasn't lived here in 21, and I've been off and on for 30. So, what are we talking about? Anyways, so I am pretty much like, okay, I'm done. Then I get an update. We don't need the lawyer. Lawyer says kind of what I was saying. It wasn't at the point of it being a go to court, settle the issue because it's a financial thing. There was no need for it. So the one sister, who shall not be named, completely ignored me when I was pissed and ranting and raving. Completely wanted nothing to do with it. But then when there was no lawyer and we don't have to pay these bills, now it became a $9,000 loan on the house that needs to be repaid. She lost all her cards where I might need that money, her insurance policy, to help pay these bills. Well, now she lost that. She lost that ability to kind of hold that over me. So as soon as that happened, she was on board wanting to talk. And I said, well, then pay me back for the funeral. She says, no, we're going to do all that afterwards. You're lying. You're doing this. You're making me the villain. And I said, who dismissed my concerns? You did. Who threatened to make me homeless if I didn't agree with the lawyer? You did. Who got a lawyer, started talking to a lawyer behind my back when I didn't even know about it? You two did. Who's refused to pay me back for the funeral? You did. So all of this started because of that. She is someone who refuses to be accountable for her own words, her own actions. So when I bring that up and I say, let's talk about that, she wants to discuss everything else. You did this, you did that. She tried to word shame me like I give a shit, calling me sad, empathetic, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, cool, back to what I said. Let's talk about that. She doesn't want to do that. So she's like, we'll go to court, bye. She does not want to handle or discuss why we're in this I'm done with you forever situation. Because then she has to tell people what she said. Instead, she's trying to make me out to be, and legit, I was pissed. So she's trying to make me out to be, look at him, look at being crazy. I'm done with him. Whatever, he's garbage. But forgetting to tell people why I got mad. Leaving all that part out. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how some people work? Because now she doesn't have that ability to hold that against me. So what does she do? She's demanding money from the insurance policy. First, I'm $11,000 out for paying the funeral, which she's not going to pay me back. Then another $9,000 for paying that loan. So that's $20,000. The insurance policy that I had was $49,000. She had $25,000. So $74,000 was going to be split three ways after all these bills. She's going to keep the $25,000. I'm down to $29,000. My other sister didn't have one. My oldest sister didn't have it in policy. So I will be paying $20,000. Technically, we'll call it 21. Technically, I should only be out 7. I'm out 20. They should be reimbursing me 7. It's less than that, but just to make it an even number. But no, she doesn't want to do that. And tells me I'm rolling in money. And who do I think I am? I think I'm the person that you said the wrong thing to. And you ruined a relationship because you're selfish. You wanted it to be all about you and the power that you had, and you wanted it to be all about control of everything. And what'd you do? You lost it all. You lost a relationship with me. You lost your ability for anything. The house is going to be changed to me. I'm already paying homeowners insurance. Like, I severed ties with her. I'm done. And she will not talk or mention, bring up, discuss anything about why we're here. She wants to talk about everything else. She wants me to be the bad guy. So this is what I was saying. Fine, you want me? Okay, I'll take responsibility for that. Fine, okay, blame me for that. Fine, okay, I screwed up. Now, since I've taken all this blame, now let's get back to how it all started. Doesn't want to have that discussion. Isn't that funny? Doesn't want to have that discussion. I'll take the blame for all the other stuff. Fine. Blame me. Blame me. I'll take it all. I'll take it all because that's nonsense. I don't remember saying that we would divide everything at the end and I would be reimbursed for the funeral. I don't remember saying that. If I did, fine. I take that. That's my blame. Blame it on me. That's fine. But now that we've got all the minor useless stuff out of the way, now let's talk about why we're here. Let's talk about you disregarding what I have to say. Let's talk about you then threatening me. Let's talk about you not caring about my opinion, but I have to listen to your husband's. Let's talk about you deciding that you don't want to pay back for the funeral. Let's talk about all these other things. You know what I mean? She doesn't want to do that. That's off the table. Because that is holding someone accountable who refuses to be held accountable. It's always someone else. And that, I've talked to my older sister. I blew up at her. But we are speaking because I got mad at her regarding everything because I felt like she should have said, like, no, that's not right. She didn't. But she understands the reason why it started was because of what she said. Now, on a side note, that same shall not be mentioned sister made the same threat to the older sister. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And I've got to get this changed to my name. I've got to get a bunch of this other stuff going on. My solar panels, that's a completely other issue. My solar panels, I took a loan out for $99,000 on these 54 panels. And after the rebates and incentives, the loan comes out to be $51,000 because I will get $48,000 in rebates. I was told I would be getting the federal rebate, which is $29,000, which was 30% of my loan back. Well, my loan, if I don't have 30% paid off by month 18, which I got them installed March of 23. We're 24, right? Yeah, March 23. My first, it failed 3 tests. And then I was paying for them 3 months before I even got to use them, which you're supposed to have 2 or 3 months of using them to build up. So that backfired on us. And now I'm finding out that I'm only going to get about $4,000 to $5,000 every year for like 7 or 8 years to pay back my federal rebate. Okay, so that's a problem because right now I'm paying $302 a month, and my bill will skyrocket to $458 if 30% is not paid off. So my bill's going to shoot up. In the winter, less sunlight, I'm going to start getting an electricity bill for the heat and stuff like that. And so I potentially will be facing a lot of money, paying out. So it's going to suck. But I'm getting a state. My state thing is like $16,000. And fortunately, I've been fighting with them for a year as to when I'm going to get that. And fortunately, I just found out today I'm getting that at the end of June. So that $16,000 will go towards the loan. It shouldn't bring it up to $458, but it'll probably be around the $400 mark. But it's better than nothing. It's just so much stuff. And then I got a riding lawnmower. Solenoid went out, so I got a half acre. So I had to buy a push mower. And I don't mind that. I throw in earbuds. I push mow the whole thing. It takes about an hour and a half. But it's just, the past 3 weeks, there's just been so much garbage I'm dealing with. And I try not to bring any of it here. Because, you guys don't care about it. I mean, it's not that you don't care about it, but it's not your concern. It's not your business not your business. It's not. I don't want to come here to complain, but I wanted to fill some people in because it's just something that's been. My dad died March 19th, and April 16th, like I mean, my dad hadn't even been gone a month. It's just been, it's been a crazy time. But it's getting there. It's getting to be done. But I got so much stuff that I've got to fix at this house. It's just, no one cares about that. But anyways, I just want to fill you in a little bit. The video is a little bit longer than expected, but if you actually stuck around to listen to me rant and rave, I appreciate it. Just had to get some things off my chest. Video part two. How about part two? Will not have any of this. You'll just be able to enjoy the video. So until I appreciate you listening. I'm glad you watched. I hope you enjoyed it like I did. And maybe I'll rant and rave some more at the end of my videos. I don't know. I'll see what's happening. So until the next time, have a good day, have a good night.